Hey, what's going on, everybody? So 2023 is come and gone, 2024 is here. So what is coming for Diablo 4 in 2024? Well, Season 3 is coming on January 23rd because that is the date Season 2 is scheduled to end, and there is no downtime in between seasons, so it's going to go straight from Season 2 into Season 3. So plan your time off from work accordingly. So Season 3 is also going to bring us Gauntlet, which is going to have leaderboards and a permanent leaderboard called Hall of Ancients. So Gauntlet is going to be a fixed layout dungeon that the mobs will always be in the exact same location and they'll have the exact same affixes. So after you've run through it a few times, you can figure out how you want to effectively pull the dungeon to clear it quicker and open up all the chests so that you can get more of these proof of might, which is how you increase your score. So as you can see here, your score will give you a rank if you make it within the top 1,000, and it'll also show you on there what the current rank 1 is, so you have something to work towards. So if you have a rank 1 over here at 32,000, you're at 22,000, you know that you have to iron out your build and iron out your route more effectively to get higher and higher within the rankings. Now, what they haven't said for the rewards is if the rewards will scale with your rank or not. So that is something we'll actually see on week 1, and maybe they'll talk about it in the campfire chat, but we will have to wait and see on that. So here we have the actual leaderboard layout. This is just a mock-up. This isn't exactly what it's going to look like, but this is what they put out for what it could potentially look like. But you have an icon for each individual class, as well as an icon for 2-man, 3-man, and 4-man parties. So you'll be able to check your status on here, as well as the previous week. So this is going to be pretty dang fun, and if you make it in the top 10 each week, you will end up on the Hall of Ancients permanent leaderboard. Next up, endgame content. They're not going to talk about that until the next campfire, so we'll find out probably on Sunday or Monday. Helltide changes. So Helltide is going to be every single hour for 55 minutes with a 5-minute downtime at the end of the hour. So if it starts at 6 p.m., it goes until 6:55. From 6:55 until 7, there's going to be no Helltide, and then it's going to start again. So you're going to finally be able to get all of the materials from Helltide that you want, all the living steel, and all of the potions that drop only from Helltide chests, because those are going to be important for doing our gauntlet up here to make it so you can min-max your builds. 925 gear. Right now, the only way to effectively get it is to farm Uber Duriel, which is kind of boring. And if you've got all the gear you want from Uber Duriel and you're just doing him to try and get 925 gear so you can min-max your build, it's really boring and feels really bad. So they're trying to actually work on more reliable ways to get 925 besides just Uber Duriel. You can also get it from the world boss, although the world boss is on a set spawn timer and there's a lot of time in between each spawn. So it's not a very reliable way to get 925 gear. They haven't actually said what it's going to be, but that should pop up on one of the campfire chats prior to Season 3. Now this is a bug or problem, I guess, that I didn't even know existed in the game. But for console players, they were not able to input the amount of gold that they wanted to trade. So for them, they literally had to add gold 1 at a time, not like trade 1 gold at a time, but add the counter up 1 at a time until they reached however much the price was. So if you were selling this ring for 50 million gold, they had to increase the gold by 1 per, all the way up to 50 million. So you as the trader just wouldn't trade with anyone on console because it was a colossal waste of your time. If you had a best in slot item and you were selling it for 2 billion gold or 3 billion gold, you would literally be sitting there for hours waiting for them to add all the gold up. It was not economical and it's not feasible. So they're finally going to make it so that you have a gold input system. So most likely what it'll be, whenever you click on wherever the gold input part of the trade window is, it's going to pop up on number pad, kind of like on your phone whenever you're trying to dial a phone number. It'll probably look like that. And then you can just put it in, hit OK, and it bloop, pop it into the trade window and you can trade. So good news for console players. And I'm sorry that you had to deal with that in the first place. Season 4 will be most likely in April. So each season is 12 weeks long and the 12 weeks should be up about mid-April timeframe. And what's coming in Season 4 is going to be itemization changes. Now, they haven't actually said what they're going to do, but they've been working with some of the prominent people in the Diablo community to iron out what kind of itemization changes they want so that you as the player can more effectively see what stats are on the gear and make a snap decision if it's an upgrade or if it is trash. And also, I believe they're going to be making it so more commonplace for upgrades to drop rather than just filling your bags with trash items. Any of these additional endgame contents, they're not telling us a damn thing, so that is what it is. And late 2024, we are getting the expansion. There's been a lot of controversy about the expansion due to the survey that was put out, talking about a $100 price tag. Now, realistically, an expansion is not worth more than $30 to $40. $100 is way overpriced, and I don't think that's what we will actually see, especially after the massive amounts of backlash that has been put out across the entire community after that survey came out. But what is it going to do? It's going to continue the campaign from where we left off, and I love the lore of Diablo, so I'm really looking forward to continuing the story, because from Diablo 1 through Diablo 4, they are extremely good storytellers. The campaigns are always top notch, in my opinion. People don't generally go through them after the first time through, which is because it's more effective to level not through the campaign. But going through the campaign the first time is enjoyable. It's very enjoyable. I really liked it. So I'm looking forward to finding out what the story progresses to from here. We're going to get a new region, as well as we're going to get a new character, or a new class. Now, the new class, based on data mining, is going to be called Spiritborn, which I guess is going to be a nature-based warrior that uses glaives. Now, we already have a nature-based character in the druid, so I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. It's also possible that Blizzard knows people data mines their games and put Spiritborn files into it just to throw people off. They said that they're going to be releasing early summer, so look at a June timeframe, because 6 months from November 4th, which is what Rod Ferguson said, would actually be May, not June. But if they're going to say summer, then that would be June, because summer starts in June. Now, here's one that's going to happen at the end of Season 3, before Season 4, most likely. Codex of Power and your aspects. So whenever you get your Codex of Power, it's always the base level of an aspect. And whenever you put it onto your gear, it's always going to be the bottom tier roll that you could possibly get. Now, with this change that they're looking to do, it's going to be so that if you get a max roll perfect aspect, you can extract that, and then it will update your Codex of Power. So now your Codex of Power will be permanently at the top tier aspect. And with that, you'll be able to just constantly enchant your gear without having to keep multiple copies of that top tier aspect, clogging up your bank, because you might need to upgrade 3 or 4 pieces in the future. So you need to make sure you hold on to every aspect that drops that is a max roll. This will alleviate that, which will save up a lot of bank space and will actually reduce a lot of lag, since you currently have to load everybody's bank whenever you see them, which is really dumb and really poorly coded, but that just is the way the game currently is. I guess more endgame content, which is whatever. We're not even going to find out what that is until later. Loadouts, this is cool. So it's going to be like the armory system from Diablo 3. So you'll be able to set up a build, go to the armory, save it. Completely set up a new build, go to the armory, save it. So if you set up a build for dungeoning, you go and you have that build set up, and now you're like, oh, I want to go kill Uber Lilith. Well, now you can go and just hot swap straight to your boss killing build, and you can go kill all the bosses that you want, swap back to your dungeon build, and it's just seamless. That is insane, and is what everybody's been asking for since the launch of the game. I myself has also been asking for it, because I love that in Diablo 3, and I thought that that would just be a standard feature that was just going to be in the game because of how popular and how well received it was in Diablo 3. They're going to be adding loot filters in with no planned date as of yet, because they don't actually know how they're going to implement it correctly. So they have to do the itemization change first, and then from there build a loot filter. But I realistically think they could actually make a really simplistic loot filter that would just be like, critical damage, vulnerability damage, overpower damage. You could just check and uncheck what you wanted to see. And if the piece didn't have anything on there that you wanted, it just wouldn't drop. Or if you're like, hey, I want, to make sure I have at least 2 of these stats on there, it would drop with those 2 stats. And if it didn't have both of those stats on there, it just wouldn't show on the ground. And maybe it would just auto salvage it, and you could just pick up the materials. That'd be cool too. So I'm not exactly sure how they're going to implement it, but they are working on it, which, to be honest, we didn't have a loot filter in Diablo 1, 2, and 3. So this is actually going to be pretty nice to finally have it in a Diablo game. And I think it's because Path of Exile did their loot filters so well that Diablo's looking like we have to do something, because everyone's leaving to go play Path of Exile. And I guess finally, right before the expansion releases, they're going to put in a social feature to more effectively find groups. I myself personally hardly ever group up with anybody. I normally just play solo, so this is not a big deal for me, but for people that have been looking for groups, I guess this will make it a little easier to find rather than just spamming general chat. So Blizzard put out some cool little numbers for us today, which is really actually kind of interesting. I was not expecting this many monsters to have been killed. 1 trillion monsters have been killed since the game launched. That's a lot. That's a lot of zeros. Yeah, this is a big number. 37 million people have been killed by the Butcher. That's a lot of deaths. I've contributed more than my fair share of them. My first death to him was literally at level 5 on my necromancer. I had decompose and raise skeleton for abilities. It was not nice of him, and he can go to hell. 2.4 million hardcore deaths. That's a big number. That's a lot of people. That's also a lot of people playing hardcore. I wonder how many of these people actually died at like max level and then never played again because they're so mad. Probably a small chunk of them were just like, I'm done, I'm uninstalling, never again. And the 2 most popular classes is Sorc and Necromancer. Sorc, I completely understand. It's been the top class pretty much since the first beta, and Necromancer came as a shock. That's my class, and I love Necromancer, but I was not expecting Necromancers to beat out the other classes, especially since some of the biggest streamers and content creators don't play Necromancer. So I figured probably like Barbarian because of Rob, or Woody Joe playing the Rogue. I figured those 2 would be higher than Necromancer, but hey, we represent. And so let's make 2024 also have the popular class being Necromancer, because to be honest, it is a fun class, and I'm hoping we get some pretty good buffs in Season 3 so we can keep up with the other classes, because Season 2 we were left a little behind. So yeah, more to look forward to. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below. If you're new here, think about subscribing. I make a lot of Necromancer content, and I'll be making a lot of guide videos and Necromancer content for Season 3. Have a nice day.